Welcome to a couple of Rad Techs podcast, season 6. Thank you all for being here. Whether you are a seasoned radiologic technologist and medical imaging professional looking to refresh your career, or you're a student seeking guidance in the radiology field, or someone ready to make a career change, we've got you covered. We've got a fresh new look, more episodes based on your request, and all the tips, insights, and inspiration that you're going to need to thrive in this amazing field of medical imaging, radiation therapy, and radiologic technology. Our mission is simple here at a couple of Rad Techs podcasts. We're here to spread positivity about this profession of radiologic technology and medical imaging, empower you with valuable advice, and help you level up your career no matter your age or stage. Grab that coffee or whatever you're doing at this moment, and let's dive into this week's episode. It's time to take your radiologic technology and medical imaging journey to the next level. Welcome to a couple of Rad Techs. We are live, and today is a Q&A day. You guys have asked me so many questions on social media, and I'm going to answer them all right now. So let's get started with 5 questions. We're going to actually do 6 questions. I want to do 6 questions today. And we're talking about money, how to get into radiology, and some other in-between questions. So let's start out with the first one. The question is, ma'am, so nice, can I be an MRI tech after pursuing a BSc, which is a bachelor's in science degree in radiology or medical imaging technology, or should I need to do anything else? Great question. Now, I don't know what country this person lives in, but all of my information is strictly for the US. Each country has their own requirements when it comes to medical imaging and what someone can do as far as their education. So I only can talk about the country I live in. So I apologize now if you're looking for your particular country. You may want to look at your accrediting agencies in your country and find out there. So to answer this question, in order to become an MRI technologist in the United States, you do not need to have a degree in radiologic sciences. You have 2 options if you want to be ARRT credentialed. That is the credentialing I hold. It is the oldest credentialing for our profession in the US, over 100 years. And that is the credentialing that I will always talk about because I don't have another one. So I can only speak on that one when it comes to MRI. Now, if you want to become an MRI technologist, 2 options. First option that the ARRT gives you is you can first go to school for radiologic sciences, medical imaging sciences, as some degrees are called, or a radiologic technology program. And what you're going to do is complete a 2-year associate's degree. Some programs offer a bachelor's degree. But if you complete a 2-year associate's degree, then you have the opportunity to sit for your ARRT, become a registered radiologic technologist. Then you can cross-train into over 11 modalities, some requiring extra schooling of about 1 year, others requiring maybe extra schooling to a master's degree level. And we'll talk about that in a second. So that's your first option. You can cross-train after 2 years of becoming a radiologic technologist into an MRI program. You can go to a structured program, and then they have some other programs, or you can cross-train and get some didactic learning through the ASRT if you are a member. They have online didactic learning where you can get the classroom part of it. So that way you make sure you understand that part so you can pass the test. 2 different things to cross-train: the clinical side of actually doing the work and understanding it, getting comps, and then you also need to be able to answer the questions and know how to do MRI, the process of it. And the second way to become an MRI technologist is you can then go to a school. If you have a degree for most programs that are ARRT, again, this is ARRT, have a degree and you can get into those programs and you can take the ARRT, but you have to graduate from have an associate's degree with the ART to get your accreditation. Now, there are other options out there to become an MRI tech without going to radiology school first. That is your first way through the ARRT and following their credentialing. The second way is Armor It. That is another option that people have when they don't want to go to school for radiology. And I'm going to caution you, before you run to that option, really think it out. Think, and be strategic about it. And why do I say that? because I work with several techs over the years that have said the same thing. They wish they would have just went to radiology technology school. Now, there are thousands out there that don't say that, but I'm just speaking of the ones that I know. And they say that because they wish they had known if they had taken a 2-year program in radiologic technology, then they could have done 6 months or a year and become an MRI technologist. And then maybe if they got burned out in MRI, they could then pivot over into other modalities. Like I do CT, I do X-ray, I do a little mammography. If I wanted to go to nuclear medicine, radiation therapy, I could do all of those things. If the job market gets low in radiation therapy, I can pop over to CT, I can pop over to MRI. I have options. And that is what I encourage. Go to school for radiology technology, get a 2-year degree in that minimum, even if you have a degree in something else. I actually had a teacher come to me today and tell me, hey, I'm thinking about going ahead and taking early retirement as a teacher. I'm thinking about ultrasound or radiology technology. And I heard you talking to someone else. I followed you on social media. What would you suggest? And we talked at length. So this is how you could get into MRI in the US. And again, you don't have to have a bachelor's of science to do this. Again, you can go to an associate's degree program. Now, if you do take a bachelor's of science radiology technology program, the benefit of that is you graduate with a bachelor's degree. You don't necessarily make more money, but what it does is sets you up to come out of that program already with another credential. That 4 years allows you time to get another modality under your belt. So you're graduating with 2 modalities. That's amazing. So to me, it is worth it if you're getting into a radiology program and you have a desire and you don't want to have to, after school, go find another person to cross-train you or another school. You can get it all in those 4 years. That might be the best bet for you. So look at all your options before you zero in on one. Great questions, you guys. Now let's look at the next question. Second question. Hey, please, I have a question. Is radiation, okay, so I'm just reading this question. It's kind of worded wrong, but is radiation are dangerous for a radiographer and causes cancer or any diseases? Great question. I actually got asked this the other day. A lady was asking me my opinion. She follows me on TikTok and wanted to know, hey, will I get cancer if I do radiology? And that's why she chose not to go to school for radiologic technology. And I was like, oh no, that's not going to give you cancer if you work in radiology at all. I don't know where she had heard that, but she said people had told her that if she works in radiology, she's more likely to get cancer. So let me tell you this. I've been doing it for 20 years. Plus, I have not come across anyone per se that has gotten cancer as a technologist from working around radiology. All my years of working around ionizing radiology, X-ray, and CT, MRI does not have ionizing radiation, but interventional, diagnostic X-ray, mammography, and CT, they all have ionizing radiation. Nuclear medicine deals with another type of radiation. It's not ionizing. They deal with nucleotides that they put into people's bodies, which are radioactive. And then you have different other modalities that might expose you to radiation. But this is the thing. In all of those modalities, y'all, we're not standing in a room for periods of time that are off the charts where you're exposed over and over to radiation. So your chances are very low. We wear dosimeters, which monitor over a lifetime how much dosage of ionizing radiation you get while at work. Now, that doesn't count all the radiation that you're exposed to, ionizing radiation you're exposed to by what you do in your day-to-day life, which we just don't take into account. So who's to say that if someone got cancer who worked in our profession, that they got it from the profession? We do so many things that expose us to radiation, ionizing radiation, that we just don't account for. So hope that helps. Our profession, we are not standing in a room for periods of time. And for interventional and fluoroscopy, you are in a room with live fluoro, OR operating room with the doctors who are using live fluoro. You wear lead shields. We also stand 6 feet plus away from any radiation. We have barriers, lead walls, and we rarely, I can count on one hand with just a few fingers how many times I've stood in a room and held any patient during their exam and been radiated. It's just not a thing that we do. We have so many other ways to mobilize a patient to safely get. All right, y'all, quick break, but this is something really close to my heart. If you're loving this podcast, then you're going to love what we've created. Rachel, the Radiographer, a children's book that finally puts us on the map. It's fun, it's educational, and it's different because it's written by a real medical imaging technologist. Yep, me, Chaundria. I am a radiologic technologist, MRI technologist, and CT technologist. And Rachel, she's on a mission to show kids that healthcare is so much more than just doctors and nurses. Most people don't know this, but we are the largest healthcare profession in the nation. Yet somehow we're invisible when it comes to early education. That's where Rachel steps in. This book introduces children, especially in elementary schools, libraries, and even hospitals, to the world of x-rays, MRIs, nuclear medicine, radiation therapy, in a way that's friendly, engaging, and easy to understand. Educators love it because it's the perfect storytime read that ties right into STEM education, career awareness, and eases fear around medical exams. Parents love it. Technologists love it. And most importantly, kids get it. And here's the cherry on top. A portion of every book sale goes towards a $500 scholarship we award every year to a student in a radiologic technology program. So if you want to support the next generation and help spread awareness about our field, head over to racheltheradiographer.com. That's racheltheradiographer.com. Let's get this book in more hands and more imaginations. Now let's get back into the podcast. An exam done without harming ourselves or the patient, but definitely not harming ourselves. So great question. Keep them coming. I'm going to do this more. Third question, can someone with a prior, and they mean criminal record, become certified in radiology or go to school for radiology? Just like any other healthcare, this is a great question because many people wonder. When you have a criminal record, it can, not definitely, but it can stop you from working in healthcare, and not just radiology, but in healthcare, period, because you're going to be working with patients that get Medicare and Medicaid. As certain criminal records or prior convictions, you're not afforded Medicare and Medicaid. You're not able to get Medicare and Medicaid. So you're not able to actually do exams on patients who get Medicare and Medicaid. So the hospital wouldn't be reimbursed. So anytime you have a license, like a nursing license, a radiology license, any kind of license that works on patients with Medicare and Medicaid, and you don't qualify for it because of a criminal record, you most likely cannot be licensed. But it depends on what your record is for. Not all criminal records stop you from working in healthcare, right? So you just have to figure out your criminal record, talk to who you need to talk to, and then you need to go to the school before you decide to invest in a 2-year plus program and invest money and waste your time, because you can get through the program, but what you can't get is a license. That is the clincher. You can't get a license. So I encourage you, before you apply to a program, make sure you've talked to the appropriate people and gotten the accurate information. Don't just take people's word for it. Get documentation, get your record pulled, make sure you get, even if you have to get an attorney, get someone to help you go through it. So hopefully that's helpful. Fourth question, how do I know if it's the right modality for me? Oh, wow, good question. I love x-ray, love it, but I need to expand my knowledge and skills and make more money. Bottom line, you want to make more money. Money, we're coming up talking about money in a second. Yes. So, right. I loved radiology. I still love it. I never thought I would stop doing it, honestly. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed fluoro. That was just the best part for me. I enjoyed fluoro. But I wanted to expand my knowledge in the profession. That is okay. Doesn't mean you don't love what it is that you love about radiology. You just grow and you move. And this profession allows you to grow. And it allows you to grow where you can make more money, because as you add more certifications, that helps you to become more marketable. I want you to remember that, is that you become more marketable. It's not that you're saying, I'm leaving you behind. You're a no good modality. You're in a low standard. That's what some people think. I'll never do x-ray. It's below me. I don't want to do that. I'm going to tell you, we do barium enemas in x-ray. In MRI, we do defograms. And that's exactly what they're doing, defecating. So if people think they're getting in the MRI so they don't have to wipe butts anymore or deal with poop, you got to deal with it, and a lot more than poop. We deal with so many body fluids and so many things in MRI that people just don't really understand that hopping from different modalities does not, and this too, when people think of all of us, they think all of us are just button pushers. None of us are above the next one. Whether you have a degree, whether you have another modality or multiple modality. Thank you guys for listening, by the way, too. I see the comments. I'm responding back and trying to talk at the same time. So if you see me typing, I'm responding to those in the chat. Thank you so much. And definitely come in the chat. I'm commenting. If you have questions, let me know. I would love to answer those questions. I see some of you on live. Please feel free to leave any questions that you have. I will get to them after I go through these 2 more questions here. But yeah, bottom line, if you want to make yourself more marketable, add another certification, add more education, add more certifications. And they just don't have to be modalities. I'm going to talk about that more. You don't have to just add modality certifications. There are so many certifications out there. I'm going to be talking about it. So if you're not listening to my podcast yet, be sure to subscribe. A Couple of Rad Techs podcast is the podcast. You can find it here on YouTube. I've been doing it for several years. It's the top 5% radiology podcast just for us technologists. So you won't find all that, the TR. I'm not teaching you how to do MRI on there or any other modality. I'm teaching you how to change your career, how to be strategic about this profession before you get further into it, or if you're already into it, how to really be strategic about what you want to do. You do not have to leave medical imaging. You don't have to think it's wrong to want to add to your education and your modality and to stay in medical imaging. If you want to leave, that's no problem too, because medical imaging allows you to advance to other areas. It prepares you for other things. But if you want to stay, there are so many things you could be doing in medical imaging. I hope you know. Let's get on to number 5. The question is, wait, I didn't think you could take x-rays or MRI/CT without your ARRT. Also, this applies to mammography. I just passed my exam last week. First of all, congratulations. Congratulations. So I did a video on people doing x-rays, making sure you know who's taking your x-rays, making sure that they have an ARRT, their credential by the ARRT. This person says, I didn't think you could take x-rays without like going to school or MRIs or CT. Well, in some states, very few, I think it's 4 or 5 states, are not licensure states, which means individuals don't have to get any schooling. Some states, they can get an 8-hour course and be in a doctor's office taking your x-rays. Yikes. Yes. Yes, yes. Many surgeons use them in their outpatient facilities to take x-rays. Hospitals do not. I would say that hospitals require ARRT. So you don't have to worry about it in the hospitals. But many people go to outpatient centers and get x-rays. I'll tell you a quick story. My husband, who is a technologist as well, he was in a car accident, went to get x-rays, and he thought the girls were x-ray techs. They had x-ray tech on their scrubs. Just because somebody has something on their scrubs doesn't mean that's what they do. They're credentialed to do it. So they didn't have RTR. They just had x-ray tech on there. That is why we differentiate ourselves, y'all. And you will not see me calling myself an x-ray tech because I went to school. I am credentialed. I'm a radiologic technologist. People who are radiologic technologists are credentialed. That is a big difference from an x-ray tech. So this person took his x-ray and he was like, wow, they didn't collimate. He was like, oh my goodness. And that's what he was like. I don't think the x-ray tech knows how to take x-rays. And then I found out they're not. They just took an 8-hour course. Some of them didn't. So this is what you need to know. And this is why you need to really look around before you get x-rays. And tell your family, too, to be careful in non-licensure states. Make sure who's taking your x-ray. Because if they're not collimating, they're not doing certain things, they're radiating parts of your body they don't need to. They're causing you to be exposed to more radiation than you should be. Right? So it's more than taking an x-ray, which is getting an image. There's more to taking an x-ray than getting an image. You put safety along with it. That alone, those two things are the difference between an x-ray technician and a radiologic technologist that's registered. Hope that helps. Great question. We're on to our last question of the night. Which modality in radiology makes the most money? I told you I was getting to money, you guys. Ooh, what do you all think? Put in the comments. Those of you that are online now, and if you're watching later, let me know what you think. So try not to get to the answer. I'd love for you to get to the comments and tell me which modality. I'm going to tell you the modalities. We have diagnostic X-ray, we have MRI, ET, ultrasound, radiation therapy, nuclear medicine, bone densitometry, interventional radiologic technologist. We have PET CT, nuke med. We have medical dosimetrists, and we have registered radiologist assistants. I think I got everybody on there. Woo, that's a lot. That is a lot. We didn't even count the educators. Okay, so maybe I should count educators. You have radiology educators. You have radiology supervisors. You have radiology managers. Then you have directors. You have, directors of imaging. And I think that's all. That's all we got. We got more when you get into the corporate level, but we're talking about patient direct. So I got some comments in the chat. Let's see what you all think. Which modality makes the most money? Someone says nuclear medicine. Ruby Red said nuclear medicine. Okay, she says nuclear medicine. And then Ayla loves anything said MRI with a question mark. You got to be sure. You're sure. You're going to say that. Okay. So those are the two we have. Oh, wait. No, Alexandria has one. Let's put Alexandria up there. She says that radiation therapy makes more. Ooh, so we got 3 different ones. Oh, I love it. I love that you guys came with 3 different ones. So nuclear medicine, MRI, or radiation therapy. Well, I'm going to say this. It depends. It really depends, because there are some diagnostic X-ray techs out there making more than some MRI techs. This is one thing about our profession. Unfortunately, fortunately, I guess, I don't know, but it depends on a few factors. How long you've been in the profession as to what you'll make, where you work. If you're at an outpatient, somewhere with a small bed hospital, you're probably not going to make what someone else doing cardiac with very extensive experience in the metropolitan area is making, right? So those things are going to determine, a lot of things are going to determine how much you make. And what you want to do is look at the ASRT. I just recently did a podcast on this. The ASRT talks about the data that they pull. They do a survey every year of its members, and they ask us, what do? Do you work full-time? Do you work part-time? Are you PRN? Do you work in a small hospital, large hospital? Are you in a metropolitan area? Are you in a little town? Like, how much education you have. They take all of this data and they ask if you would share your salary. It's anonymous if you would like, but they ask you to share your salary, and they put all this together and they're able to break it down. So if you are a new student graduate, you have one modality, you live in Wyoming, you can actually look, and you have an associate's degree, you can look on that data sheet for the year of 2024 and say, okay, this is what possibly I should be making. And it gives you an accurate amount of how much you should go and negotiate with versus what Indeed is telling you, or what ZipRecruiter is telling you, or what you're finding out on TikTok with people showing their checks. But that is not realistic for everyone, because it's going to be different. Really, you think about it, some people don't think interventional technologists make a lot of money. They make a lot of money. A lot of money. And I find it's one of those professions that a lot of people don't even think about going into. And it's one of those that you can cross-train over from a job. Almost every hospital is looking for people to cross-train in interventional radiology. You get a lot of call, so you get a lot of overtime. And that's where a lot of your money comes from. And the pay is really, really good. I don't know anyone who does not like interventional. I just don't. It was the first place to offer me a job as a student before I graduated. Then came CT and X-ray. I had 3 job offers from those 3. And interventional was the first one. I spent a lot of time rotating through interventional. I encourage you guys, it didn't come up in the chat, but any of those of you watching now and later, if you're a technologist, if you're one looking to pivot throughout your career, definitely spend some time in interventional radiology. You don't have to go back to school for it. You can learn it on the job. The pay is amazing. And the schedule is a little rigorous, but it depends on the place. You have a lot more outpatient places that do vascular studies now. When I was starting, you didn't. You did it in the hospital, and that's where it was done. Now, a lot of surgeons have their own, and they are Monday through Friday. You're not taking any call. So, these are all the options that we have. And don't also forget about the administrator role. Some of you are maybe really good with managing people and not really managing patients. That may be for you because not everybody is good managing people. They're good with patients only. And sometimes those people get into leadership roles and that's not where they should be. So if that is a strength, start to build that and get yourself experience in leadership roles by looking beyond just supervisor and manager. You may be a great fit as an educator. Some people are phenomenal at dealing with students and being able to teach a large group and being able to navigate the education world because it is different. But this has been a great conversation. Thank you all for your comments and coming along for this Q&A tonight of radiology technology questions that I get from social media. I will be coming back weekly with this series. So be sure, if you have not followed along, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube if you enjoyed what you heard. Check out all my other socials and please listen to the podcast. And we've got a radiology book out there too. So if you haven't checked out the radiology book, oh my goodness, it is tons of fun. It is one of the most proudest things I would say that I have done. And I'm going to show it to you now. Here you go. This is Rachel, the radiographer. This is a children's book. And it is the cutest little thing. And we have sold out of all of our pre-orders. And you just got to check out this young man's reaction. That is Rachel, the radiographer, the book. It is for everyone. Children are loving it. Adults are loving it. Be sure to grab your own copy. It is RachelTheRadiographer.com. And thank you guys again for listening. And be sure to subscribe, follow along, ask any questions if you're watching this later. I love to respond to you. And until next time, have a good evening. All right, y'all, quick break, but this is something really close to my heart. If you're loving this podcast, then you're going to love what we've created. Rachel, the Radiographer, a children's book that finally puts us on the map. It's fun, it's educational, and it's different because it's written by a real medical imaging technologist. Yep, me, Chaundria. I am a radiologic technologist, MRI technologist, and CT technologist. And Rachel, she's on a mission to show kids that healthcare is so much more than just doctors and nurses. Most people don't know this, but we are the largest healthcare profession in the nation. Yet somehow we're invisible when it comes to early education. That's where Rachel steps in. This book introduces children, especially in elementary schools, libraries, and even hospitals, to the world of x-rays, MRIs, nuclear medicine, radiation therapy, in a way that's friendly, engaging, and easy to understand. Educators love it because it's the perfect storytime read that ties right into STEM education. Career awareness and eases fear around medical exams. Parents love it. Technologists love it. And most importantly, kids get it. And here's the cherry on top. A portion of every book sale goes towards a $500 scholarship we award every year to a student in a radiologic technology program. So if you want to support the next generation and help spread awareness about our field, head over to RachelTheRadiographer.com. That's RachelTheRadiographer.com. Let's get this book in more hands and more imaginations. Now let's get back into the podcast.